Spender. Bow, 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 bow.
Hey, big spender.
Bow, 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 bow. I love how drawn out they do that song, but that comment also applies to the whole movie. So,
the drawn out film of 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Just taking their time. They really want you to sink in with every
beat of Charity's life,
every freeze frame, every second. You know?
Well, I think it's exciting that the listeners will almost definitely not have watched this film anytime recently, since we couldn't find it on any legitimate platforms. And so we could say basically anything about this movie, I feel, and they would believe us. They would have to.
They simply have to.
And
we
people
did find
on
it
YouTube.
free.
Yeah, people on YouTube are going to be so mad that we're not showing them the movie with this one, because they're
we probably could, because I guess no one has any rights to post it anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Universal would still find a way to flag us. For sure.
If you're listening on YouTube, I just want to clarify that this is a podcast, so we won't be showing you the movie, and we will be talking the whole time, because that is what this format is.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just funny that we got 2 of those comments within the past couple weeks where I had to be like, local man discovers what podcast is. More at 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea that we intended to upload the movie, but we got so excited talking about it that we just forgot.
That we just talked for the entire time and didn't talk about
we just uploaded the audio. We didn't know.
This was supposed to be a commentary track to accompany the movie.
The film.
That would honestly slap. We should try that at some point to play. I mean, it would be a copyright nightmare, but it would be really funny to try to time the episode to be exactly the length of the movie and overlay them.
Well, Molly, that's the live show.
Have to release it, but we could release we could watch something together and then actually just make a commentary track of our thoughts while watching.
That's true.
That's
and just hey guys, play this along.
And then you say you can't pause. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
You say when I say start.
Start Huggo. Because one of your podcasts did that, right? For Star Wars, right?
No, they didn't do it for. Did they do it for Star Wars?
Yeah, I think they did, because I think you listened to it once when you were watching.
I've watched it Podcast the Ride did it with specific specials and stuff. But
could be fun.
It would be very annoying to do it in this format.
Yes, I think it's for
watching a full thing with Molly on a screen by
a tiny
sharing,
just like Martin Scorsese intended movies to be seen.
Just as God intended. Welcome back to Showgays, a Cinemusical podcast. 10 minutes into this episode already. I'm Adam.
And we're explaining what a podcast is.
Yeah, I'm Molly. It's good to refresh everybody on what a podcast is. Just anyone who's listening.
And I'm Shirley MacLaine.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Shirley. How are you, Shirley?
Oh, great.
Great. Molly?
I'm good. I think this is going to be late, right? Because of my delay. So I think I should apologize.
It's not a delay. Okay. Cold is not a delay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the Showgays schedule. You want to know the Showgays schedule, listeners? Here's the Showgays schedule. 2 episodes a month. Okay. There you go. That's the schedule. Like it. When I am able to make it. Okay. That's the schedule.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you know what? This is fun. Let's bring fun back to podcasts.
We get $0 for this. So
exactly. Yeah. So I'm good. I'm back in my apartment. There was a continuation of the mold saga, and I was relocated for a week and forgot to bring my microphone to the guest suite. But the crack is sealed. The mold is re-inspected. There's new carpet on the floor. We've dealt with it. Absolutely. I do feel that it's because Andrew lives here now that then he reported the mold the second time, that they took it seriously, unlike the first time I told them about the mold. But yeah, I think we're all good now. This will also be a shock to Rita because she has been in Japan. And I found out about the mold returning the day before she was leaving. And I was like, this is not something that my mother needs to worry about while in another country. So I have not told her yet about the mold. So Rita, the mold came back, but it's fixed now and we're all good.
Rita doesn't listen to this anymore. She gave up. She was so mad at the hihiatus. She stopped listening.
Yeah. She was like, that hiatus is the time I wanted to listen to all of these podcasts.
That's when I'm holed up in Minnesota.
It's true. It's cold there in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Did you actually want to say how you are? I know you're not Shirley MacLaine. I know you're RJ, but I didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
I couldn't keep up the ruse any longer.
Oh, you tried so hard.
Yeah. Did you do any research on Shirley MacLaine and her
as a person?
Yeah.
Nope.
Like her alien.
What?
Oh no, I'm slightly familiar with those stories, but no, I have not.
She's an alien believer of some sort.
Yes, this is true.
Okay. Well, look, of all the conspiracy theories, have at it, girl.
I will take aliens. Sure.
It like is one of the few ones that might not go back to like the Jews are running the world.
Right.
Like that's like one of the few that is like, no, it's actually just aliens. Running the world. It's
and also like, I don't believe aliens have made any contact with humans or are like, you know, flying around at night in rural Arkansas or whatever. I do feel like the idea that aliens stands just I think the idea that aliens could exist is like not that crazy. So, you know, it's based in like a believable reality.
Yes. Yeah. I'm doing okay today. As of recording is my first day as a part-time employee of the corporate mumbo jumbo. Okay. And then, in about 2 weeks, I will be free. So by the time we record our next episode, I will be free.
Or maybe not. Who knows?
Or maybe not, because
these once again, the schedule twice a month. I might put one out on the 29th and the other out on the 30th. You never know what I'm going to do now that I have this power. Like unlimited power.
You always had this power.
That's true. And I've used it before. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Adam? How, besides all of that unlimited power that you feel, how are you?
Fine. Just a little sleepy.
Sleepy.
But other than that, I'm fine. I have to be honest and say we just finished watching the movie about an hour ago, and it unfortunately is not a rollicking action film that kept me super awake. I did not fall asleep. That is not what I'm implying, but I did enjoy resting my head on the pillow.
Absolutely.
In which I was on the couch, and I did not close my eyes, but I was like, this pillow feels good.
You were on soft focus.
I think the lady doth protest too much a little bit about
but I did not fall asleep. I swear to God, I didn't fall asleep. I can tell you about
Okay.
Actually, I watched parts of this movie twice because RJ went to the bathroom in the middle, and then
during the intermission.
During the intermission and then into the second act. And then he came back out and was like, well, we can just keep going. And I was like, no. You have to make a podcast about this.
I came out and was like, did they get out of the elevator? And he was like, yes, but you have to see.
You have to see them.
Trying everything you can to not have to watch this whole film.
Yeah. Okay. So this week is I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back doing the summary. It's the first time since the hiatus.
Since Wicked. Okay, Adam, it is your task this week to summarize in 1 minute or less the plot of the film Sweet Charity. And your time starts now.
Charity Hope Valentine is a taxi dancer at a New York City dance hall. She is hopeful, optimistic, and completely unlucky in love. Her first beau pushes her off the bridge in Central Park, stealing her money. Her next fling is a famous Italian movie star who ends up making up with his jilted girlfriend while stowing away Charity in a closet overnight. Finally, after a meet cute in an elevator, Charity meets Oscar, and while initially questioning his advances and intentions, falls head over heels in love with him. The problem? She hasn't told him that she's a ballroom hostess, and he's a bit traditional in his worldview. However, he assures her it's no problem when all is out in the open and they plan to get married. At the courthouse, he gets cold feet and leaves her, insisting that he would be no good for her as he cannot forget about her past history and, quote, the other men. Charity finds herself back at the bridge in Central Park, but a group of hippies walk past, offering her a daisy, and her mood brightens as Charity is still hopeful and optimistic and maybe next time won't be so unlucky in love.
And that was 58 seconds of Sweet Charity.
Very nice.
This was a perfect one to summarize because really nothing happens. I mean, things happen in this movie, but this is not a like, and then they have to get the thing and then they have to take the thing to the thing. And it's such like
there's no tesseract.
It's a tone piece more than anything else.
It's the life and times of Charity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Molly picked this film to do.
I think Rita requested it.
And obviously May is
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all
the
mothers out there.
To Nan, to Rita, to Joy.
Joy is not listening. Joy has never.
Not listening. Joy's like, what's up? She feels it. She just bit her tongue. She's like, oh, someone's talking about
Molly, do you have a relationship to this?
To mothers?
Film?
To mothers? No, I don't know any mothers. I tried to watch this when I was like, I want to say in middle school. And I think I got to the scene of the club that she goes to with the Italian movie star. What's his name? Vitali? Am I making that up?
Vittorio
Vitali.
Vittorio Vitali. Yeah, the very long Fosse dance sequence in the nightclub. And I remember watching it and being like, I don't think I understand what's happening in this. And so I think I've been walking around with this impression that Sweet Charity is like a complicated musical or like a concept piece or something.
Yes.
And it was really just that the dance sequence was quite long and there wasn't any deeper meaning to it. I think I probably also didn't understand what like, a taxi dancer was and everything. So that was also probably confusing me. So I would say my relationship is I dipped my toe in, but I didn't ever really fully watch it before.
Yeah. You were so young. You really didn't understand.
So young, so innocent.
So innocent back then.
RJ.
So sorry. So I know Big Spender, and If They Could See Me Now. The only reason why I know Sweet Charity is a musical is because I want to say in the mid 2000s. Christina Applegate, who I was a big fan of, Samantha Who. The Sweetest Thing. I just really liked her as an actress, that I remembered watching clips of her being in Sweet Charity on Broadway. And I remember watching interviews of her being like, I was in previews and broke my leg. So they had to like fully
choreograph the show
and like had to use a lot of understudies. So she couldn't even get like a proper run.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Because like fully broke her leg.
I do also obviously know the song Big Spender. It's parodied in The Simpsons in an episode where they are doing a yard sale. And also when I went to Vegas in the fall, they're like constantly playing that song.
It's always playing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I think those are the only two songs that I recognized from when the movie was playing. I was like, oh, it's just those two that I know. But like, If They Could See Me Now, I definitely knew, just because also that was like the go-to brassy, not even brassy, go-to audition song for a lot of girls that like had a spunky ingenue, not necessarily classical ingenue, like had a little moxie in her. So I heard it a lot.
I feel like also the hat and cane is very like synonymous with Fosse, even though it's not like he uses a hat and cane in every number. So it's like that association is very strong from just this.
But there is a hat and cane in every Fosse movie, I would say.
It feels like
it. Feels like
I don't know
I
if
feel
I
like
can
in
say that definitively.
Was it in the one that
Steam Heat?
I don't think so.
No, it was in the like it was like the dream sequence. The girls wore top hats.
And sure. Adam, what is your relationship to the sweet old
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have actually, I think the only Shirley MacLaine film until today that I had ever seen was Steel Magnolias.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the only one I'd ever seen, which is crazy because what I have seen, and this is not what we're talking about today, but what I have seen, Promises, which is based on The Apartment, which is like Shirley MacLaine's like one of her most famous roles she ever did.
She won an Oscar for that, didn't she?
I believe, I don't know if she won, but she was definitely nominated. Yeah. And I think that it was nominated for Best Picture too. And it's a movie I've always been like, oh, I need to like find and watch The Apartment. Like everybody talks about how great it is, but I still haven't watched it. So now I'm like, well, I should like, in probably the next couple, maybe when we fly to Florida.
To Orlando.
I'll just rent it and watch it. But I have never seen Sweet Charity.
She was nominated for it. She didn't have one.
The only thing I know that I really definitively knew, because I don't even think I knew it was Bob Fosse. I knew the book was by Neil Simon because I was in college. I was very into Neil Simon. Yes. And so I had like gone through his like biography and stuff. And like, I just remember that was his one musical book he had written. And that was like all I knew. I knew I was singing Hey Big Spender. I didn't even know If They Could See Me Now, which is crazy.
I think I probably really only knew it because Christina Applegate, that was the song that she would sing to like promote the show.
I mean, I think Hey Big Spender is just kind of like it's the most ubiquitous song from in culture.
Oh, yeah.
From this.
Yeah. Really I'm a brass band and
I wouldn't be surprised.
I love to cry at weddings.
I wouldn't be surprised if they've done it on Family Guy. I know you said Simpsons did it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Family Guy did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a song about spending money. It's applicable in a lot of situations.
Plop and play.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not literally about spending money. That's not the context of the song, but you can use it in
it's
that
just
way.
about like people who's
got money to spend,
money to burn, cash to burn.
$6 for a 30-minute dance.
Six doesn't have the six. The other have. So, so this show is based on. So, okay, let's rewind all the way back.
Rewind.
The year is 1957. Federico Fellini releases a film. Our beloved Federico.
Love him. Love him so much. An unproblematic king.
Unproblematic king. He releases a film called Knights of Cabiria, which is an Italian film. I believe it's in Italy's Ministry of art and whatever. It's in their top 100 films they've ever the country has ever made or something like that. But probably most Fellini movies are in the Italian Registry of Best Films. But 1957, it is basically the same plot. Except she's a prostitute. She is definitely a sex worker. And it really follows the same plot. It starts with her being enamored with this guy who pushes her into a river and takes her money. She ends up meeting a movie star who keeps her in a bathroom while him and his date make love, and she watches through the keyhole. There is a part, there even is a church aspect where she goes to a mass. So it's obviously changed in this musical, but they go to a traditional Catholic mass and she does a whole thing there. And then it ends. The only thing that's different in the original is that Oscar does repeat the first love story. So he does take her to the river and goes to push her in, and she realizes that he's going to do it. So she begs for him to kill her, and he just takes her money and runs away. But at the end,
finish first.
But she is left alone, and then there's a parade, not hippies. Shockingly, you'd be surprised in 1957 in Italy there weren't any hippies yet. But there is a parade of people that go by. She gets included in the parade, and then she has one black tear run down her face. Yes, Molly.
Oh. So is the plot about Oscar being not knowing about her line of work and then being put off when he learns about it, not in the Fellini film?
I couldn't tell for sure. The Wikipedia article wasn't totally, it was a more of a general summary than super specific plot points.
Okay.
But it seems like it's pretty one-to-one for most of it, which I thought was interesting. So then this gets turned into a musical on Broadway in 1966. The music is by Cy Coleman, lyrics by Dorothy Fields, book by Neil Simon. It's called Sweet Charity. And then it's pretty much this. There's a couple slight changes. They do have an elevator, but then they later go on to a parachute drop ride at a theme park. And that's when they get stuck on the ride, but he is okay. And then she's the one who gets scared, but that's more because she's realizing that she hasn't told him the truth about herself. Blah, blah, blah. So there are some slight changes from the film. Obviously, one of the weird ones is that he's a tax accountant in the original show. And in the film, he's a life insurance salesman, which I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if that was just to play up the why he would know rates of risk of injury of things and stuff like that. But pretty much the same. And then in the ending, I just wanted to read the ending. So the ending for the Broadway show: after a farewell party at the ballroom, Charity and Oscar walk in the park, whereupon Oscar announces that he cannot go through with the wedding, saying he is unable to stop thinking about the, quote, other men. Eventually, believing he's sparing her an unhappy life with him, he pushes her into the lake and runs off. Emerging from the lake, Charity, speaking directly to the audience, asks, "Did you ever have one of those days?" Realizing that unlike Charlie, Oscar has not stolen her bag, she shrugs and reprises her opening dance. So that's that. At the Tonys, this was heavily nominated, and it did win Best Choreography. It was nominated for Best Costume Design, Best Scenic Design, Best Direction of a Musical, Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical, Best for Helen Gallagher, Best Performance by a Featured Actor in a Musical for John McMartin, who does reprise his role in the film, Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical for Gwen Verdon, and Best Composer and Lyricist and Best Musical. But the only one it won was Best Choreography. So let's talk about the movie. So the movie Sweet Charity is directed by Bob Fosse. Screenplay is by Peter Stone. It is based on
everything you just said.
I'm not reading all those names. It is produced by Robert Arthur. It stars Shirley MacLaine as Charity, John McMartin as Oscar, Cheetah Rivera as Nikki. Yes, thank you. Paula Kelly as Helene, Stubby K as Herman.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. is Big Daddy. And Ricardo Montalban. Why do I know that name? Wait, who is that?
Is that the
you're thinking of Paolo Montalban?
I'm thinking of Paolo Montalban. That's
who is the prince in Cinderella in the Brandy Cinderella.
He plays Vittorio Vellini or whatever.
Yeah, Vittorio
Valenti. The cinematography is by Robert Surtees. It is edited by Stuart Gilmore. Music and lyrics by Cy Coleman and Dorothy Fields. Ralph Burns adapted the rest of the music into the score for the film. Distributed by Universal Pictures, it was released on April Fool's Day, 1969. Wow. Its running time is 149 long minutes. Its budget was $8 to $20 million, depending on probably marketing. I would assume is that flux. And the box office made only $8 million. It was a flop. It was one of the biggest flops of 1969, in fact. Wow. And is actually, apparently, if you watch Fosse Verdon, it is like one of the first things that happens in the show, which causes like Bob Fosse to have like this huge depression.
Oh, okay.
Because Gwen Verdon did not obviously star in this film, but she did assist and choreograph this film uncredited. There is an alternate ending of this movie, and Molly, you wanted to watch something all together, so here we go. We're gonna watch.
Oh, okay.
This alternate ending. Let me share my screen.
Wow.
Wow.
RJ, for our listeners, can you summarize what that alternate ending consisted of?
Yes. So instead of the hippies, instead of the scene of her calling the girls,
she does that before this.
Oh, okay. So after, yeah. So instead of the hippies, instead of her staying by the bridge overnight, Oscar feels suffocated at his home. He says like, why can't I breathe? Blah, 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 blah. And he realizes he's made a mistake. So he runs back up. He takes a walk to clear his head, and he sees Charity on the river thinking she's going to jump. So he runs after her, and then he trips on her suitcase and he falls in the river. She jumps after him. And Oscar was like, I thought you were going to kill yourself. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Why are you even here? And basically he realized he apologized. He says that I can only breathe clearly when I'm with you, and I feel like I'm suffocating when I'm not with you. And I realize that that's all in my head, and I still love you. Will you be okay if I'm still like this? I may not be perfect, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, you never know until we try. So they decide to get married again. And she says, thank you to the sky. And then they run off, and then the same title card appears, and they live she lives hopefully ever after.
Which is very different. It's interesting that it's the same title card because it's a very different ending. It's just resolved now.
Yeah.
It's a different, like, hopeful, because I'm glad that they have this mini conversation of like, what if it's not perfect? What if I, basically do this again in the future? And I continue to be scared because of what I have. And she's like, well, that's just part of it. You just have to keep going. And so they agree to get married. It felt very much like this was the golden age. This is the Irving Berlin, like, ending. Like, it just felt like that same feeling.
Very
of like
neat.
Yeah, it feels very American audience. Like, must be a happy ending.
Not a Fellini ending.
Not a Fellini
ending. Fosse thought the ending was too corny, but he filmed it in anticipating the studio was going to not appreciate the original ending, so he just filmed it just in case. But the studio did end up agreeing that the original ending is correct.
And I'm curious if the reason why it flopped, or one of the reasons why people may not have liked it or it flopped, was because of the ending.
I know that we're kind of going ahead, but we've just talked about the ending. So do you feel in the original one that we watched, do you feel that that's a happy ending?
It's hard to say.
There was one Letterboxd review that I saw that I at first was like, wow, what a bold statement. And then I thought a little bit more about it, and I kind of agree that there is this like eternal optimist character,
right, about Charity.
And like they said that one of the classic characters of this ilk is actually Anne Frank in the Diary of Anne Frank, because she writes like, I still believe in spite of everything that people are really good at heart. And I thought that was interesting because I think, well, first of all, that was like my favorite quote for many years of my life. So I was like, oh shit. That's okay. But I don't know. I think like the ending, I think it's like, This whole movie is so it couldn't be more 1969 if it tried. Like there's something so right middle America. We are at this like crossroads in time.
Yes.
Part of this film, whereas like we're out of the 40s, 50s, early 60s, like happy endings. Yeah. We're getting into like these more natural or at least nuanced films of like what we're going to lurch straight into the 70s. I think it's not a happy ending, but I think what I like about the ending is that she is not beaten.
Yeah.
Like I like that there is still a note that it does not end with her committing suicide. Like it does end with her. And maybe, she's like maybe she feels like a bit naive as a character, but I enjoyed that. I maybe not enjoyed, but I appreciated the fact that she did not leave this film. Like we didn't see her like wallow on the bridge and that was the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like she's like, there is another day ahead.
Yeah.
I felt sad about her optimism because I feel like she's so delusional in the way that she believes that love will fix all of her problems that I was like, oh, I kind of wanted her to end on being like, let me figure out a different goal for myself. Now, maybe I'm asking too much from a movie from 1969, but like, especially the first two relationships we see her have, she lets herself be treated so poorly just for love. And so the optimism that I can like convince myself of, even though it's not like in the text explicitly, is like at least Oscar, until he left her at the altar, like treated her well. And we see at the beginning of the relationship how she's like skeptical of him because he's treating her so well and she's learning from it. So like maybe she's learned from that, like this is how a man should treat you, and she's gonna be in healthier relationships going forward. But like what I found sad is her song Somebody Loves Me is like, it's not about Oscar loving her. It's just like someone loving her is the goal. And so I think that is sad that like that remains so core to her.
Yeah, what she's looking for, what she ultimately will be duped by, like if someone like uses that against her. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. I just would rather I feel like the other alternative is like she ends this movie and then she becomes completely cynical. And I hate cynical. It might be my least favorite thing about like 90s culture that still feels like it's a part of today.
Yeah.
Like I hate cynicism so much. I think it doesn't help anything, but I understand that it does have its place. It's just not a view that I ascribe to in any way. So I would rather a character, for me, I would rather still have someone have hope than just be like, well, it's over. Not that I'm saying that that's what you're implying, but
that's a good point.
I actually have no idea how to not end. I mean, obviously you can have the neat ending that was the alternate version that I don't think works at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
The neat version feels as though like if you were trying to show in the movie that Oscar is the one, that it's someone that's like, I don't know, normal, but then also like is flawed in his own way. But I would have had a hard time trying to figure out like, what are they trying to show? If he's able to overcome it at the end of like me, my mental state, me always like being anxious and doubting myself and doubting like what is whatever, like he's always scared. Like, what is that trying to prove for him to be the final, like for them together is like the final,
like his turn is like kind of the climax of the film as well. Like his decision. I think also the alternate ending puts it back on Oscar's like legitimate phobias of claustrophobia. Right. Not legitimate, like it's illogical. That's what makes it a phobia, but you know what I mean? And I feel like the film as intended, it's about the fact that it's really his hangups about her past. And it's not really, he uses I'm not mentally totally stable as like an excuse for like actually a very pervasive idea and not something that is unique to his phobias. So I feel like it kind of undercuts the, I don't know, like social resonance of his reasons for leaving her at the altar.
I mean, I don't even think this movie this story feels like it's so, I don't even know if you could like do this not as a 1960s period piece, because like there's something that feels like post second wave feminism. It doesn't work. It can't one-to-one it. I feel like, I mean, like the story probably still could work to some degree, but there's like, she has like no agency. Like she has no ability to do anything in a way that's like what the second wave feminism was like about. It was like, I can't even open a fucking credit card without like having right? Like she can't do anything. I actually think the most horrifying scene in this entire film. We're also just skipping right into it. So whatever, it's fine. Where the most horrifying scene in this movie to me was, or like saddest, I guess, it was like when I got the most choked up, was when she's in the employment office.
And God,
yes.
She's like, I just need something, because she needs to get out of her job, which by all intent, like doesn't look like it's the seediest. Like it's not ideal, right? And there is like that kind of like trashy element that like Fosse really thinks is like visually interesting that it definitely has. But like she isn't a sex worker. Like it's still like a job per se. She's definitely getting groped and pawed at, and like it's not good, but it's obviously could be way worse. But like the desperate, I just think Shirley MacLaine is so good in this role that I was like, Jesus. And it's such like a dramedy role. Like she's so funny, and she's also like
really good at
painfully like sweet and sad when she has to be. She gives such a good performance in this movie.
I think what you're saying, Adam, right, is not that the part of the plot of Oscar's hangups about her past is like not relevant anymore. You're saying the degree to which she's such a passive character. Like if you watched it, if you made a 2025 version, you would be like so frustrated and be like, girl, just get a job. Like, you know,
exactly.
I feel like part of her,
take some courses, like you can do this. Yeah. And so
part of her thing about being like, a man has to save me comes from like kind of an actual real world thing.
Like a man does have to save you in this context.
Yeah, a man doesn't have to save you, unfortunately. But yeah, like for sure, his worldview is currently in the Oval Office. So like, you know, that worldview didn't go away yesterday. Yeah. Like
he's out of his time
for sure. And I think actually what I also like about this movie and the story in general is like, he's not a villain. Like he's like, by the end, you're like so frustrated with him that like he can't see all the goodness that she has within inside of her. Like he's so hung up on like who she was instead of who she is. But I don't think it makes him like a villain. And I don't like, I think it actually gives a lot of nuance. And I think RJ and I were talking about it. This guy was in like he was a guest star in a Golden Girls episode that I really liked. He played a priest. So I'm sure there's a part of me watching this movie that like, I have a lot of affection for this actor in general, just because of that performance that I'm bringing.
It is a very sweet performance from
for most part. Yeah.
It's like, you do feel for him, and he does the nuance of like, it is accepting that like it is a block of mine, that like I'm the one that can't see past it, because I think of the scene of when they throw her the surprise party, and like even though the environment is really filled with happiness and joy and excitement for her, all the small things he's seeing and the camera is showing, like someone grabbing her, the guys, like it just.
Well, I went even before that when they have that scene in the diner where they sit back to back because she can't face him, which is so funny.
Yeah.
But she's like just saying all this stuff, and that he's saying like, no, I followed you. Yeah. And I saw, but and I couldn't forgive you, but there's hints in that scene that it's not going to like, it doesn't go well. And at first I was like, I can't tell if this is a 1969 movie thing, and I'm just supposed to be like, well, this is the time, or if like this is actually like part of it. Like they're not going to end up together because like there's a moment like basically the idea of the scene is him being like, we'll just never talk about it again. We'll just never talk about it, and we never need to talk about it, and it's fine. And I was like, I don't know. I was like happy for her in the moment, and then I was like, but like, is that funny?
It's such a like mid-century way of dealing with trauma of like, we'll simply never talk about it, and that will make it not real.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. We're all over the place here. So let's do let's do
set the scene.
Let's set the scene of where we're at.
Starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're at this seedy dance hall in Times Square, the Fandango Dance Hall.
Which I believe now is the Olive Garden, maybe?
It's probably the Olive Garden. It could be the Toys R Us. Who knows?
Everything in Times Square is actually an Olive Garden.
The M&M store.
It's just one long Olive Garden.
Just one huge Olive Garden.
So the famous song, obviously, from this musical is Hey Big Spender. Let's listen to just a bit of it.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could see you were a man of distinction, a real big spender. Good looking, so refined. Say, wouldn't you like to know what's going on in my mind? So let me get right to the point. I don't pop my cork for every guy I see. Hey, big spender! Spend a little time with me.
This is one of the best musical numbers I've ever seen on film.
Oh, you think this one?
Yeah.
The general consensus from what I was looking at, especially on Letterboxd, was people love the rich what was the grug? The dance
party?
at the party.
The Fosse party where middle school Molly clocked out.
Yeah, that's very impressive choreography.
Yeah.
But in terms of the choreography plus the film choices, like seeing it from on the table where you're seeing like the glass and the cigar and everything.
Yeah.
The musical dynamism of the like, let me get right to the point. Like it's so interesting. And the fact that you can see their faces and how completely stone-faced they are while they're doing it. Which you can't.
I actually feel like parts of this, I'm like, this is like pinnacle. Like this almost more Fosse than like Cabaret. Like there's something so Fosse about
the
this.
isolated movements. I just feel like you could put it on stage with the stone face, but you wouldn't be able to have the intimacy of the camera. And so it's like they're really using it really well.
Yeah.
To highlight
it's the thing that like I think people, if they didn't know, they would be probably shocked that Bob Fosse had previously been like known as like a director of stage because like his films are so cinematic. Like they are so cinematic that it's like it doesn't have the problems that some theater directors have when they go to make a movie where it gets a little bit muddied because they don't know how to play with like scope in the same way. He's so good about like knowing how to set. Yeah, it's incredible to watch, especially like truly because of how like deadpan they are through the whole thing.
Yes, yeah.
And I think genuinely when this movie started, I had no idea what this movie, I had no clue what we were about to watch.
I knew that she was like, so I assumed burlesque. I was like, I know she's in like the seedy parts of society but she's like lovable. So like, that's all I kind of like knew.
This is the second song in this film.
I know.
This is like, because she has like a bit
she's
of
like, I gotta go to work. And
she
then
has a
like,
song after she gets like, while she gets robbed, where she's like running around with Charlie in Central Park.
And that's like, like New York is my world, or like New York is my playground or whatever.
Yeah, and that's fine. And then it's this, and you're like, oh, it's not that she's just like this dumb, naive girl. Like it's like, there's another layer of like, she's at a low station, let's say, in life. Yeah.
And shout out to Cheetah Rivera.
Shout out to Cheetah Rivera, and shout out to, what was her name? Paula
Kelly.
Paula Kelly.
Oh, so good.
Apparently, I read on IMDb that one of the days they were filming was the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Whoa.
And she like walked off set, and Bob Fosse was like, didn't understand why it was such a big deal, but he did release them all early for the day.
Okay, well, that's honestly a better response than I was expecting from Bob.
I know, right? I was like, where's this going?
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so 19th. Like, this movie is like this couldn't have been made in any other decade than how it is presented. Like,
it's not it's not melancholic, but it is like there's like they're showing the dirty truth about like, I don't know, like life. That I feel like that's kind of like the definition of films at this time. Like they're showing you the ugly.
It shows you the ugly, but I also think this movie doesn't
it's not the Fosse movie. It's not like super.
It doesn't please itself by being like, look how gritty it is. Because like we have the entire like sequence later where they like celebrate them getting married. And it's like a complete reversal of everything we know about this place, right? Like everybody's so excited. It all feels so genuine and warm. And like these are probably the only friends she has on the globe.
Yeah.
And everyone is so
happy,
floored for like thrilled for her, and he is Oscar's the only person there who's like he's for sure out of his element, but he's also like realizing truly he's coming to grasp with the fact that this is like what her past actually is. Like this is where she comes from. Ignore it.
Which is so painful watching his audience and seeing his expression and just knowing it's not going to go well from the fact that she brought him here, and if she hadn't brought him there, maybe
well, he would have seen the tattoo at some point.
He would have seen the tattoo at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was interesting. I did a little bit of research on taxi dancers because I was trying to understand a little bit more about this whole
like what the
tradition.
rules were, how the business is run.
How the business is run. And it did say that one of the ways to get like good business as a taxi dancer is that you had to have this like persona basically that would stand out to people. And so you see that in the intro to Hey Big Spender, how they all have kind of a thing and a hook, like Hey Cowboy, and like the one Asian girl is like speaking in Japanese, like they all kind of have their like, here's my type, because I know that people come in looking for a type. And so it was, I guess the height of it was like the 20s and 30s. And so this is like the very end of when taxi dancers were a thing. And so it's like, it's one of those classic, like has different levels of, I mean, it was always like a legitimate business, but like people it could be like, I really just am like, I'm here to do a dance with you and that's it. And it, maybe some girls end up dating some of the customers, and some girls might be doing some extracurriculars. So it's like very intentionally a little bit ambiguous. And I think the movie is really intentional about making it ambiguous of like what exactly she kind of like gets choked up and he cuts her off when she's trying to explain her whole past. And I think ultimately like the thing we were referencing is a tattoo that she has for Charlie, who's she says fiance. I don't know if they were actually engaged.
But is the first man. Yeah.
The first man. And so like, that's really about a previous relationship more than anything else. But it's interesting that they chose this thing that's like it's very ambiguous what exactly this means about her moral character, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's always that thing of like, do you need to know specifics in the past? Is it enough that like they're willing to move on? It's not like, it should be enough that like, I don't want to be here anymore. So like, clearly what's done is done. It doesn't even matter, but yeah.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, we have lived in centuries of culture now that has put great value on women's virginity. So yeah, we can't, it's hard to divorce many generations of like this idea of
women can have agency
pure femininity.
Yes.
Yeah. This is such a fascinating piece in terms of like just the gender politics of it all. And in a way, and like, again, just like all of the first of all, this movie passes the Bechdel test, so let's celebrate that.
Right,
she does,
to the extent that if there was a Bechdel test for musicals, they have a whole song and dance literal about how they all have dreams outside of working at this place, and they aren't just finding a man, it's doing other things,
being a hat check.
Hat check girl.
This was my favorite song in this show, in this movie. Let's listen to a bit of There's Gotta Be Something Better Than This.
There's gotta be something better than this. There's gotta be something better to do. And when I find me something better to do, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna get up, get out and do it. There's gotta be some respectable trade. There's gotta be something easy to learn. And when I find me something everything a halfwit can learn. I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna get up, get out and learn it. All these jokers, how I hate them, with their groping, grabbing, clutching, clenching, strangling, handling, fumbling, pinching. Phooey.
I loved this number. I thought this was so fun. It actually really reminded me of, weirdly, the Friends number in La La Land, where they like take her out on the town.
Because the monochromatic costumes.
Yeah, it's probably just that. But I also, when they were like, they're out, where they dance on like a rooftop at one point during the song, and it looked exactly like the America scene from West Side Story.
Yeah, totally. I was like, people love putting Cheetah Rivera on a rooftop to dance.
There's just like the rooftops of New York with, and then their choreography too was like they were flicking the skirts, so it was like it was just so America.
I don't actually know if they do it on the rooftop in the Broadway version, but still.
Yeah, I don't know in the original where they did it. It probably was just general stage.
Yeah,
I just have like I don't know. There's something about the story trope of like finding like a good heart in a place that is like to society is like seedy and like immoral. So like
this is Anora.
There's something about it that
there's something about it, but it is also like such a especially like the sex worker with the heart of gold is like
right.
a thing. And honestly, she is a manic pixie dream girl. I know we've had enough of millennials talking about manic pixie dream girls on the internet, but like it's indisputable that that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I feel like it does feel like she just. I wish there wasn't as like she was like, I really hate this place and I want to get out. I'm glad that there was that scene with the surprise birthday party that like there is. She may not see it, but there is like a family that at least she's created with at least the girls that like care about her. Because I was really afraid that like the movie was just gonna kind of shit on the taxi dancing. But I think like, when showing the ugly, it's showing that it's complicated, that like it's messy.
It's more that I wouldn't go so far as to say it's showing that the like system is wrong or anything like that, but more that like don't judge these women by the choice they have or the limited choices that they have to do this. Because they make it abundantly clear in this movie that like they don't have the ability to like do anything else. Like this is kind of what they're relegated to. And we don't know what their previous circumstances were that led them to this point, but definitely at least for Charity, like she says in that employment office that she went to elementary school and he said, where did you go after that? And she said, after what?
Yeah.
And it's a joke, but it's also so, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm curious how close this script is because Neil Simon didn't write the screenplay. It's just based on the play or the book for the musical. So I'm curious how different it is. Cause I really did feel like there are a bunch of characters in this, obviously, and musicals don't have as much room to like develop their minor characters as like plays do for sure. But I really felt like it didn't give any of the female characters, like it didn't dumb down their language and it didn't have them like talk to each. It wasn't vapid conversation. It all felt like true and honest and not like, which I really appreciated. And I did think there were a lot of jokes in this.
Yeah. It's like especially these two characters, like Nikki and Helene, like they know that they made the choice of where they are and they're making the best of it. And like they're accepting and aware of like their situation, but they're not weak in any way, like they don't feel like they're not in control of who they are at some point. But yeah, I think the dialogue and the writing and the jokes are so good that when I had realized that it was Neil Simon, it just like kind of clicked that like so quippy, so fast, like all of her like all of Charity's like the first act with like all of Vittorio was just like, I just kept laughing the entire time. She just had such a great punchline.
Shirley MacLaine is so funny. She is so funny in this movie.
Look, she's funny, but she does not get the funniest line in the movie because without a doubt, the funniest line in the movie is, where do you live? in an elevator. I cackled. Andrew came into the room to be like, what is happening? Why are you laughing so loud by yourself? Yeah.
You're just like, I'm just watching a man have like an episode and it's hilarious.
My favorite line in this movie is the very beginning of this movie when she falls into the lake and they pull her out and she's like on the ground and someone says, is she dead? And the person goes, I don't know. I've never seen her before. Just so stupid.
That's like airplane level, like comedy. You know what I mean? Like just random punchlines that like the crowd has. Mm-hmm. So good.
Very funny.
And the reveal of when they're at the party, like what is it, Vesuvius or whatever, the Vesuvius room or whatever Italian dance club that they go to.
The Pompeii room.
The Pompeii room, thank you. Mm-hmm. Or they're singing the like, who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? And then she just goes, it's me.
With the largest menu you've ever seen in your life. God, that menu was like a full 8 feet tall. It was so crazy how big that menu was.
But I was like, okay, I really thought that was like, okay, this is the rest of the movie. We really didn't know if like Vittoria was going to be like the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then she never eats, right? I feel like that's part of the bit of that whole evening.
Yes, there's so much food there.
Being presented with food and then being distracted from it, and then she never gets to eat. It's like a metaphor.
Yeah, the cold supper.
Well, she's definitely like, there's a lot of metaphors of like ways that she is stuck. Yes. She's stuck in this life. Because
stuck in the elevator.
Obviously is the elevator, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's listen to a little bit of, speaking of Vittorio, we should listen to a little bit of If They Could See Me Now, which is the song that Charity sings while
Vittorio finds her like proof that he did spend the night, or he is with her, because she's like, no one's gonna believe me.
If they could see me now, that little gang of mine, I'm eating fancy chow and drinking fancy wine. I'd like those stumble bums to see for a fact the kind of top drawer, first-rate chums I attract. All I can say is, wow, look at where I am. Tonight I landed, pow, right in a pot of jam. What a setup, holy cow. They'd never believe it if my friends could see me now.
But even this sequence, when she's there, has like a sad moment where she does tell Vittorio that she is what her career is, and he doesn't actually seem to care, but he definitely does just like throw her away the minute that Ursula. comes back.
I mean, he would have done that regardless of her career. I think that was clearly the dynamic that was happening there. But yeah, it's very sad. Girls, stop accepting these situationships with these Italian movie stars and whoever. It's a very like, I don't know. It was sad to me how much this whole scene of like being thrown in the closet reminds me of modern online discourse about the way that people behave in the dating world.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed at all. It's just happening online. It's happening virtually now.
Yeah. It's just happening on Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're locking their Snapchat in a hidden folder of apps. I hate to tell you.
I hate to tell you, girl. Your photos are in a hidden album.
But what I did think, she is not broken up about Charlie, or she's upset about Charlie, and then she's upset kind of about Vittorio, but both of those I feel like she
counts for Vittorio. I think she's pretty upset about Charlie. She initially isn't, and then she kind of lets herself get angry about it.
I would say she's angry, but I think like definitely with Oscar, it's like it's the most true version of like grief she's like experienced around these relationships.
Just because she did that whole montage of like, oh, he's just going to be another guy that does this to me. So like even her was like, I'm doing the checklist. Now, granted, it was all in one day. It was one date.
It was one date. But
listen, he was charming.
He was very charming. Oscar was very charming on that date.
Yeah.
After you got over the fact that he deserved a spot on the Funny Farm. Which is, we have to bring back Funny Farm. I understand. Listen, I understand it's not great. I get it. But if we're going to I would rather have Funny Farm than Nut House.
Oh, or Screws Loose. A few screws.
I did get confused when she called him a fruitcake because I was like, he's gay. So this is like not, I was like, oh, that was being romantic, but I guess he's gay. And then I realized later that she was referring to his mental health.
Is Promises gay? Is he gay? No. That's a love story.
No, it was just Sean Hayes.
It was just Sean Hayes.
Yeah, in the revival.
Sorry, Sean. I just couldn't believe Sean Hayes and Kristen Chenoweth would be a heterosexual couple. All right.
What else do I want to say? I think that this is,
it's a great Fosse movie in terms of like showing Fosse's, like I think when they started doing the Pompeii room, dance. Exhibition of the
rich man's grug. Yes. That's what it was. The rich man's grug.
I was like, wow, this is the song. What do you keep
of the whole
to?
Sequence of that dance that they do at the Pompeii room,
because they're doing I was like, this is an exhibition of Fosse's work.
It like, truly is. It's honestly, I love Fosse, but it's excessive. There are 3 different endings to it, and I was
they go through three movements.
Yes, it was a ballet of its own.
Yeah,
I think if you love Fosse, go to YouTube, watch the numbers on YouTube, because again, you can't really watch it in any other way.
You can't,
but also, I think, as we've referred to, it's a long film. It's a funny film. It's a good performance. But like, if you're here for the musical of it all, the numbers are what you really need to enjoy.
Yeah.
Should we say anything about Sammy Davis Jr.
As a
hippie
daddy
preacher?
That is one wild sequence in this.
I kind of glazed over that entire scene because I was like, this has nothing to do with anything. So
I just was like, nothing. He's such a dynamic performer that I was like, I see it. I see why people would follow him in a cult. I was nervous actually because of that scene. That then when the hippies came up to her, I thought that she was going to join a cult at the end.
I know,
and I was
me
like,
too.
now that's a '60s ending.
That would be squeaky fum. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all not bathing in the compound, like, I don't want that for her.
But that again is like, so, I mean,
that's like later. I mean, has that already passed by this time?
What? This is,
I think the 60s was like the height of the forming of the communities. And then some of them went wrong in the 70s. But I think this is height of people getting into communal living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still fun. Exciting. And in the 70s, that's when the megalomaniacs were like, okay, let me use this now to my advantage. Yeah.
The element of like, we've talked about hippies in the past because we obviously watched Across the Universe, and I think there have been other ones that have come up. But
Showgays critically acclaimed.
Critically acclaimed Across the Universe, but it's just so. We've joked about it before that they cannot let the 60s go. They the boomers cannot, will not, shall never let them go.
This was their
but I have to be honest.
This was their Coachella.
I truly get it. There was one culture. And then there was one opposite of the culture.
That's true.
Like there were two. There was no niche anything.
Yes,
like
niches didn't exist.
Niches didn't exist. There was the culture, and then there was the counterculture.
The counterculture, yeah.
And everyone had a take on it, and so of course they're all going to talk about it all the time because that's all there was.
Yeah.
So when all of a sudden hippies showed up,
12,000 aesthetics.
When hippies showed up in this film, I was like, sure, of course, why not? Yeah. They might as well. What else are we doing here?
It's also like a really funny part about Oliver, or is that his name? Oliver?
Oscar.
Oscar's character that he says he belongs to like a Church of the Month subscription.
Church of the Month subscription.
And I was
he's just like, oh, I just go to a service a month.
Nothing else about this man is like nothing about him seems like I would go to a different church once a month just for fun.
Right.
Like it's like the worst explanation possible for why they're there. They just wanted this number in there and they were like, I don't know, we'll explain it somehow. Yeah. And they did not figure out a logical way.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun because he asks her to go to church with him and she like balks at it a little bit.
Yeah, she's like, church.
But then the joke is obviously like you as the audience think it's going to be like, let's go to a Methodist mass or something like that. Yeah. And then you end up at this like hippie thing. It's
like hippie, not monster truck.
But that's why she like feels like
in a garage,
because at that point when she feels like she's like, oh, I can tell him, and
because look how weird
he in the middle of it like reveals that he's like, I think people who don't live a traditional lifestyle are evil, and she's like,
oh, that's not what we just came from, girl.
I'm sorry. I thought we were doing something
I thought we were hiding in a wheel for like the past 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was so ready in that scene when they're in the wheel and then they like confess their love for each other and they get all excited and then they start dancing that I was like, and then the cops pick them up, right? Like the reason they were hiding in the wheel is that the cops came to break up this whole thing. And then they're just like making noise and like dancing around.
Dance sequence. Like everyone left. They're the only people in the garage.
Yeah. I thought maybe it was going to be one of those bits of like, and then they're like still dancing as they're getting the handcuffs put on them. As people are being handcuffed in the back. Yeah.
I want to talk about my favorite part of the movie, which is...
I'm sorry. Can I just play a bit of...
Rhythm of Life. Yeah.
Daddy started out in San Francisco, tooting on his trumpet loud and mean.
Suddenly a voice said, go forth, Daddy, spread the picture on a wide screen.
And the voice said, Daddy, there's a million pigeons waiting to be hooked on new religions. Hit the road, Daddy, leave your common law wife. Spread the religion of the rhythm of life. And the rhythm of life is a powerful beat. Puts a tingle in your fingers and a tingle in your feet. Rhythm in your bedroom, rhythm in the street. Yes, the rhythm of life is a powerful beat.
To feel the rhythm of life.
My favorite part of the movie are, once again, these freeze frames. What?
Yeah, there's some weird. There's some weird transitions.
So cool. The
stuff.
transitions are like they freeze frame and then they fade in and out. Well, first of all, the first song, the camera zooms in super blurry into frame and then blurs out. And that was their transition into going to different spots in Central Park. Mm-hmm. The freeze frames reminded me.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say the freeze frames reminded me of A Star is Born, where they're like, the footage was burned.
Star is Born.
The footage was burned, so this is the best we could do to
reproduce.
Fosse saw A Star is Born with the burnt footage and how they replaced it. And he said, I want that for my movie.
I need the gritty. I need the ugly.
To me, that's cinema.
That's cinema. Well, like the second Central Park. Yeah, that's right. Central Park?
What about it?
Yeah, they're in Central Park.
Yeah.
The second one when Oscar goes on the date, when it's the Oscar date, and it's like they're going, the freeze frames.
Where she's questioning all of his motivations.
Yes. And then like the freeze frames, the pictures, she slowly smiles more and more, that by the end she's like falling in love. I was like, they're laying it out as if they're showing like evidence footage in like a documentary. Like it's like, these were the photos taken at the scene of the crime.
True Hollywood story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Zoom in on a still photograph is so documentary feature film.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's just something, it's just, so of its time, and it
is really a time capsule, this film.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I think we've said it before. Bring back intermissions. Wicked.
Back intermission.
Wicked. We are in intermission.
We're in intermission right now, Molly.
We're in the intermission.
Each part of Wicked needed its own intermission.
That's true. Do I have anything else to say?
The Brutalist had an intermission, wasn't it? And that was just a movie about brutalism, the architecture.
Oh yeah.
I'll end the segment with a little bit of "I'm a Brass Band," which is apparently I saw one of the longest musical numbers ever put to film.
Oh, really?
And I was like, "Oh, still really all
film? Still, this is still a record?
How are we quantifying this?" But it didn't say because
really, Who Will Buy and Oliver wasn't longer.
Oh my god!
No,
that was
better.
It was also better. Yeah,
stunning. Here's "I'm a Brass Band."
I love that this is Fosse's idea of a brass band. The bowler hats. Adam had a nice.
Oh yeah, the bowler hats
and thigh-high red boots.
Thigh-high red boots.
Yeah.
Fosse's like, I think this is how
Fosse directs
music band.
I'm a brass band, I'm a harpsichord, I'm a clarinet. I'm the Philadelphia Orchestra, I'm the modern jazz quartet. I'm the band from Macy's Big Parade, a wild Count Basie blast. I'm the bells of St. Peter's in Rome. I'm tissue paper on a comb. And all kinds of music is pouring out of me, 'cause somebody loves me at last.
Okay, so before I go into criticism, just quickly, here's the situation at the Academy Awards. All nominations for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, Shirley MacLaine. Oh, that would have been Golden Globe. I'm sorry. Yeah. Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Golden Globe nomination for Shirley MacLaine. At the Oscars, Best Score of a Musical Picture, Original or Adaptation for Cy Coleman. Best Costume Design for Edith Head. And Best Art Direction nominations as well. So, no wins, but for a film that completely flopped, they got 3 Oscar nominations out of it. So, yeah, pretty good. And apparently, the full official title of this movie is Sweet Charity: The Adventures of a Girl Who Wanted to Be Loved. I did not realize was the full title.
Feels like more information than we need to have in the title, but it's accurate.
Yeah, it feels like a long title. So on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic consensus is an 80% for this film. So not certified fresh, but not bad.
Yeah.
Let me find something to read here. This is from Vincent Canby of the New York Times. It's no accident that the best numbers, Big Spender, Rich Man's Frug, and Frug, not Grug. Frug, the other obvious word that I didn't think of. And Rhythm of Life, a specialty by Sammy Davis Jr. as a turned-on evangelist, exclude the star entirely, Shirley MacLaine, or put her into a supporting role. Depending on your tolerance level, these 3 numbers might be worth the price of admission. There are also some peripheral but real joys in the subsidiary performances. Ricardo Montalban is the Italian movie star who takes Charity home for a night of love, which he makes to another girl while Charity is locked in the closet. Cheetah Rivera and Paula Kelly as Charity's roommates. John McMartin as the fiancé who flees, and Stubby K, a plump memory from Guys and Dolls, as the manager of the Fandango Ballroom. The part I left out was just that he thinks that Shirley MacLaine doesn't know how to sing.
Oh.
So
that was great, but I think she knows how to sing.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the less I care about if they are perfect singers.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially in a movie like Sweet Charity, I was like, the charming.
We're not singing ballads.
Charming.
I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast. I think that there are 2 kinds of singers. There are singers that are doing the song serviceably and you are enjoying hearing them sing. And then there are people who sing and you're like, oh, I'm excited because there's numbers coming up, right?
Yeah.
And the second one is obviously like, that's like a singer. But there are a lot of people that I can enjoy hearing them sing a song. And like Shirley MacLaine's definitely in that first category.
Yeah.
I don't it's not like any of these songs are like
ballads or like musical feats
required to
And I don't necessarily want a musical where everyone is that second type of singer.
That's
like,
so true.
I would much rather like a balanced casting where it's like if there is something.
Yeah, that's why they cast Michelle Yeoh in Wicked.
Oh. That's why Lin-Manuel Miranda is in all of his musicals. Got to balance.
Lynn, once again, welcome to join us in the pod.
Lynn,
we'd love to have
you on.
Would love to have you, Lynn.
Variety staff over at Variety. That was the credit was to Variety staff. Sweet Charity is, in short, a terrific musical film.
Wow.
Based on the 1966
Legituner.
Sure. See, this is how you know this is a contemporary piece, because some of these words, I'm like, you're just making words up. You're making words up. I think
season 6 is going to be Showgays Alleged Tuner
podcast. Extremely handsome and plush production accomplishes everything it sets out to do. Elements of comedy, drama, pathos, and hope. Pathos is not a word we use anymore. Hope blends superbly with surefire entertainment value, stylishly and maturely planned and executed. The story involves a gullible woman of relatively low station in life who refuses to believe that tomorrow does not hold a promise of happiness. Shirley MacLaine is a dance hall hostess who at the outset has just been sloughed off by a gigolo. An accidental encounter with an Italian screen idol played superbly by Ricardo Montalban precedes a blossoming romance with John McMartin. MacLaine's unique talents as a comic tragedian, like comedian, are set off to maximum impact. This film strikes the correct balance between escapist fantasy and hard reality. MacLaine's working environment is sleazy, but romantic adventures occur in believable settings: a lavish apartment, a street, a rooftop, a restaurant, a discotheque. Fosse's staging of the musical numbers is outstanding. Atop his remembered style is a brilliant film-oriented appreciation of the emphasis possible only with camera and moviola.
A moviola podcast.
A moviola
podcast.
Yeah.
Legituner moviola.
Legituner moviola. Come on.
So that's my drag name. Yeah.
Shout out to Variety staff for that extremely 1969 review of this film. Letterboxd, this film has 3.7 stars. Oh, I didn't even see that. I've got a few reviews here. The first one's from David Sims, who gives it 4 stars. He says, Charity just seems like a fun hang. Anika gave it 4 stars and said Oscar was an asshole anyway.
And this was marked for spoilers.
That was marked as a spoiler, yeah. Shelby liked the movie and said Emma Stone owes literally everything to Shirley MacLaine in this. The original leggy, redheaded, quirked up white girl.
Quirked up.
And Nick Morrow gave it 5 stars and said this movie is key to understanding Austin Powers.
Which is what we said. Adam and I were like, oh, this is Austin Powers.
There's clearly
the rich man's frog.
The rich man's frog is so clearly their reference, one of their main reference points for Austin Powers, because there were parts that I was like, is Mike Myers about to run on screen as Austin Powers?
I feel like I don't have anything to say about Rich Man's Frog, but I feel like there are probably dance people who are listening to this podcast that are just aghast that we've just basically said nothing about it at all.
Glazed over it.
Listen, it was great. It's just it's the most Fosse thing I've ever seen in my life, to the point that I was like, is he parodying himself? It was so crazy that I was like, oh. But I think we kind of talked. I think we talked about this with something. Did we?
Pajama was the last Fosse
Pajama, where it reminded me of like an upscale supper club where like there was dancing out at this like clear restaurant like thing like this is, if I
as a child Adam
I
was like this all restaurants have
all restaurants are ballrooms.
Extensive dancing. Yeah.
Okay. RJ, who actually, Molly, I'll let you go first because we did this for your mom. Who is you and Rita's MVP for this movie?
Oh, it's got to be Cheetah Rivera. It's gotta be.
I didn't expect that. Okay, great.
Oh, I think she's
incredible,
fantastic, and incredible, and I was excited every time she was on screen.
Absolutely,
she's one of the greats. Sometimes gay people use that word really loosely.
And look, there are greats of many times, but she's the one
one of the
stands the test of time.
Right now, this is gay people using it in a serious way.
Yeah, Cheetah V. Rivera.
Cheetah V. Rivera.
Yeah. RJ MVP.
I will be nice and give you Shirley MacLaine. So I will say Neil Simon. I had a great chuckle in all of his lines.
I will say officially the screenplay for this movie is Peter Stone. I don't know how much of the original
was taken
book he used for the script. I just want to be clear.
Yeah. Well, I'll give him to both. I'll give it to Peter Stone for doing a great job of adapting Neil Simon's work.
Yeah. And apparently there was some production stuff where like producers left and Bob was hard to work with.
Shocking. We've seen the movie about how hard he was to work with.
Where he was like, hey, I'm really difficult to work with. Where he explicitly says it textually in the film about his life. I'm going to take Shirley MacLaine. I think she's a gem. She has such a specific comedy thing that she does that I was like, her delivery is so specific. And I know we're back in this transitional point in American cinema in like the 60s heading into the 70s. But like, I think comedy in most movies up until that point and the way comedy was portrayed on screen was a lot, not that she's like subtle. It's not a subtle performance, I would say, but like, it's so like off the cuff. Like it's so like, oh, this accidentally tumbled out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And she has like kind of an effortless way to make it seem like it's not a sweaty comedy styling. Whereas like previously, I think because we're still working with actors who came from a vaudeville energy in the early part of the 20th century, there's like a bit more like it's a bit ham-fisted, which I obviously love, but like it's so just like I feel like living through this time would have been so fascinating where you're going to movies and seeing like one style of like movie. And then as the decades progress, they literally change before your eyes. And you're like, what are movies now? Like it's just so crazy. Like obviously like in the 20th century, I think about this all the time that like visual art had a lot of like, changes and not eras, but like, styles periods, movements. Yeah. And acting is so ephemeral that it doesn't really have kind of the exact, it can't equate it one to one in the same way.
But when you do see it, when you do see like, oh, it's shifting, it's like so fascinating. Yeah. Because it's like just people. It's like it's someone performing like a person. So.
And I also think it says a lot too about like what do audiences react to? Because like part of it is like, oh, it's new and it's different. And that's part of like why it's interesting, right? Like, I think like the kind of comedy of like the 2000s and then 2010s, like becoming, this is more like the piece itself, but like that kind of like mockumentary style of sitcom where like
the irony,
you like look at you like dead look into the camera and like reference it directly is like so different from like what we're working with from like, I'm obviously mostly talking about television now, but like through like the latter half of the 20th century where like sitcoms were those multicam, like audience laugh track style. Like it's just really interesting how it all changes and you don't really, I feel like, notice the change until you look back and go, wow, it changed. Oh shit, it changed, didn't it?
Yeah.
Here. I could talk about this shit forever. Molly, what's your closer?
I prepared a closer this time. Invent a taxi dancer stage name for one of your co-hosts using 3 common nouns in honor of Charity Hope Valentine.
Oh, great.
I have one for Adam because he is an Easter gay. I think your name should be Diamond Bell Parasol. And I think you would be a Southern Belle. I think that would be your persona.
Perfect.
Debutante.
I mean, that could just be my drag name. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, what's really the difference between a taxi driver name and a taxi driver?
A taxi driver.
Taxi driver.
What's the difference between a taxi driver and a drag queen at the end of the day? You know,
that's true.
I'm your cabbie Parasol. Where are you taking you to JFK or LaGuardia?
Do you want to do Molly?
Yeah. Let me give one to Molly,
and I'll give one to you.
Molly. What would be your persona? That's the thing. If there is,
it's like specifically a thing. I mean, I have probably the easiest assignment here because
at the time my persona is being Asian.
It would just be Asian, and it would probably be like not Filipino. Like it would just be like general, like
general Asia,
like general Sao.
Yeah. It would be like Jade. Jade Moon
Chow Mein
Dragon.
Yeah.
Like
Dragon.
It would be really offensive.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you just gave that to yourself, so I didn't have to say it.
I'm saving you the trouble because everyone's looking for a reason to get Adam.
It's true. They're all out to get
trying to cancel you this whole time.
I'm trapped in an elevator.
Would Molly be like it could be fun if you were like a bookish type, like a library girl, bookstore girl,
slutty librarian.
Slutty librarian. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Office siren.
Office siren.
Molly's not on TikTok, so she doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
I know enough.
Office siren. So what is that?
Pencil skirt.
Pencil skirt Penelope.
Pencil skirt bosom.
Pencil skirt hose.
Hose like hosiery?
Yeah, like hosiery. Yeah. Is that good?
Pencil skirt readers.
Should just be any of those office terms that they said in that interview.
Outlook. Pencil skirt Outlook.
Oh no.
Pencil's kind of a cute name now. I'm thinking about it.
Pencil skirt is
I'm kind of digging the pencil part. Yeah.
Pencil Ann, you get your ass back in here. It's time to eat.
I feel like we need to work in the Dewey Decimal System somehow.
Oh my God. I remember I'm having a flashback in grade school doing my volunteering at the library and doing the little numbering system, the little papers.
If it's just library, it's fully like Dewey hold late fee.
Dewey late fee.
Dewey late fee. I think that's it. I think we got it.
Fee is cute. Yeah. That is cute.
Yeah.
Great. Mm-hmm. Well,
Dewey's a cute name too. I actually knew in high school I had a friend who his nickname was Dewey. It was short for Andrew.
Oh, okay.
So everyone called him Dewey.
Well, thanks for listening as always.
We got it shorter than the movie. Thank goodness.
Did get it shorter than the movie somehow. I will say this. I will own up to the fact that on the last episode for Josie and the Pussycats, I forgot to put the trailer for Sweet Charity at the end.
You did.
I just completely forgot to do it. And so someone commented on Spotify
and was like, what the fuck's the next movie?
What's the next movie? And I was like, and I didn't reply. I just went back into the file and added the trailer for Sweet Charity and then
gaslit that person.
To gaslight that person.
So it was always there. You can go listen to it right now. It was always there. I don't know what you're talking about. But I will tell you right now, because to be full transparency, since I fucked up last week, the next movie that we are going to do, now we're just saying it out loud for Showgays.
Now we're just saying it because you don't trust yourself to edit the podcast.
Because it's the season.
Let's all say it together.
1, 2, 3. The Prom.
Oh yeah.
We'll say it. Molly, say The Prom, and Adam will just edit it in.
Okay. The Prom.
Perfect. No notes.
Oh my God. Amazing.
No notes.
Well, thanks everyone.
So we're back with James Corden next episode.
Let's check in on him.
Jimmy
how he's doing.
Let's see how he is.
I hope he's doing worse than Charity.
Oop. Okay, bye. You wouldn't believe it if my friends could see me now.
What key was that? Thank you for listening to Showgays, a Cinema musical podcast. This episode was edited and mixed by Adam Noecker. This has been an Ampliverse production. You can find the Ampliverse on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at the Ampliverse. Check out our full roster of shows at theampliverse.com. If you'd like to send us your own takes on the movie we just watched, reach out to us via email, and we might just read it aloud on the show. Our email is showgaysmoviemusical@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find the show. And now, as always, the show must go on, so stick around to hear what we'll be watching next episode.
Hello, interweb. My name is Emma Nolan, and I'm 17. You might have heard about the prom in Indiana.
I just want to go to prom like any other kid.
All opposed.
I know we all have stories to tell, and here's mine.
Oh my gosh, check this out. It's all over Twitter. She wanted to take her girlfriend to the high school prom. And the PTA went apeshit and they canceled it.
We have got to go down there.
Yes.
And raise holy hell.
Yes, we will be the biggest thing to happen in Indiana since whatever's happened in Indiana.
We have come to this community on behalf of a young girl.
I just wanna dance with you.
I'm sorry, who are you people?
We are from Broadway.
I just wanna dance with you.
We're not monsters. We're cultural disruptors.
Your beliefs are not our beliefs. You don't know this town.
I thought that when my parents rejected me, that I would never feel any worse. I've never felt so alone in my life.
But you're not alone. And you do have friends.
Where are they?
Okay, people, this is the part where we roll up our sleeves and we put on a prom with our own bare hands.
I just don't understand it.
Well, I think it's brave.
Let's get this party started!
It's time to build a prom for everyone. Show them all it can be done if music plays and no one cares who you're. Unruly heart loves building now.
I'm gonna take a stand for all the people out there who love someone in a way the world just doesn't understand.
Until that day comes, I say cue the drums and take to the floor. That's what the floor's for. It's time to dance.
Okay, I admit that got to me.
It's time to dance. It's time to dance.